Putting a Rocketeer at nearly every extract is certainly a choice. After this server slam, Arc Raiders has ended up in this weird spot. The community feels really divided. Some people loved it and are now going through withdrawals, others walked away frustrated. I've got around 60 hours across Tech Test 2 in this server slam, and after playing both, I'm somehow more excited than ever for launch. But I totally understand why some people aren't. Arc Raiders is so close to being great it actually hurts a little. Not in the needs it doesn't fixes kind of way, it already plays beautifully. The problem's more about understanding. Extraction shooters are already a hard genre to sell to the casual gamer. It's not a genre you can just jump in and instantly get. And I'd be lying if I said Embark didn't shoot themselves in the foot with this server slam. They gave us such a tiny slice of what the full game is that most people never got to see what makes it special. So that's what I want to talk about. Why this test ended up dividing people, how Embark shot themselves in the foot, and why I think there's so much more to Arc than most players got to see. I've taken a ridiculous amount of notes over this weekend. I rounded up everyone's main concerns and I just wanted to talk through it all. Not in a negative way, just to make sense of what's working, what isn't, and why so many people are reading this game the wrong way. One of the biggest things I keep seeing since the server slam is people saying that they don't get the point. And it honestly makes sense. For a lot of people, this was their first extraction shooter. So it's already an uphill climb for Embark to make something like this click for casual gamers. It's not a genre that explains itself. You don't spawn in and instantly get it, you kinda have to let it click. But Embark really went the opposite way with this test. They didn't give us enough pieces to let it click. And I think to understand why that's a problem, you first have to understand what an extraction shooter is. So let's talk Tarkov. Love it or hate it, Tarkov's the grandfather of extraction shooters. I think one of the biggest appeals of extraction shooters is the stories that come out of them. You'll go into a raid planning to grab some loot, test a gun, do some tasks, whatever, nothing serious. And then something happens. Maybe you find a valuable item, or you complete a task you've died 3 raids in a row trying to do. And suddenly, that quiet run turns into a story. You start second guessing every sound you hear, and your brain's just looping that one thought: I need to get out. That's the core of it. The whole genre is built around making you care about leaving alive. It's that weird mix of greed and fear that kicks in the second you find something worth losing. And a good extraction game gives you the space for those moments to happen naturally. It doesn't guide you to them, they just happen. It's about having those runs where everything goes wrong and you somehow still make it out. And once that clicks, you chase that high again and again. So now that we understand what makes a good extraction loop, we can start dissecting why a large amount of players' sentiment became, what's the point of this game? And a lot of it simply comes down to Embark limiting everything so heavily. The maps, the progression, how 90% of the loot was basically junk. There was nothing that gave you that, oh shit, I need to get out moment. And I saw that everywhere. People saying it felt empty, hollow, pointless. This is it? I'm just meant to loot random junk and extract again and again? I played Tech Test 2, which had infinitely more content, 3 maps, tons of upgrades, it ran for 5 days, and there was always something to do. Always something I needed. I remember just needing a dog collar to upgrade Scrappy, finally finding one and instantly getting that oh shit I need to get out feeling. In this server slam, there was nothing to upgrade, nothing to really do. So a lot of people just shifted to PvP, I know I did. People who played Tech Test 2 like me still had fun because we knew what was coming, what was out there. But we're the minority. The majority looked at this, especially newcomers, and just went, what? And that's all on Embark. They shot themselves in the foot here. They should have done what they did for Tech Test 2. Give more content than people could actually finish. I can't imagine anyone getting deep into all of this and saying, you know what, that demo was enough. Anyone that enjoyed it would have been instantly sold. Now they've just created the opposite effect. From what it looks like, the whole point of the server slam was just to stress test the back end, make sure the tech could hold before launch. And that's fine, but somewhere in there they decided to turn that test into a public taste test too, and that's where it fell apart. Like, I'm confused on what the real purpose of this test was for. Was it purely Embark testing the servers? Was it to sell the game and let people try it? Was it both? And like, I get where they were coming from, they didn't want to spoil too much before launch. But that kind of safe approach only works when the players already understand what the game is. In something like Arc, where the fun isn't instantly obvious, you kind of have to overshare. You have to let people stumble into the full loop so it can click. And what they gave just wasn't enough for that. It showed the mechanics but gave us no meaning. And please, can we stop with the whole skill issue thing? Every time someone's confused, there's instantly a dozen replies telling them to get better. Sometimes, yeah, people are whining and being ridiculous, but most of the time they just don't understand this genre or game yet. And if you want this game to succeed, help people understand it rather than just push them away. Anyway, extraction shooters are built around patience, where the FPS world trained us to expect instant dopamine. Every game these days feels like shoot, die, respawn, repeat. A damn slop treadmill if you ask me. Ark's not like that. It's slower, more about positioning and restraint. Like a chess match, but if every pawn had a rifle and the queen was literally a giant crab mech. That learning curve is the point though. You'll go on streaks where you feel unstoppable, and then hit a wall where you die 5 times in a row. That's the roller coaster that keeps people addicted. The problem is, people do struggle. That's kind of the point. But somewhere along the way, the community started treating that as a bad thing. If you actually want this game to grow, explain it. Help people find that moment where it finally clicks. Quick break. If you've been enjoying these deep dives, hit subscribe. It helps way more than you think. And it helps me keep going through these ridiculous editing marathons. Alright, back to it. I want to talk about movement. In Tech Test 2, sliding felt so goddamn good. Like you used to be able to slide on a lot less steeper slopes and it never felt like some overpowered thing you could abuse. It was just one more thing you had in your kit to not only use to get around a bit smoother, but just something satisfying to do while traversing that made you feel like you had some control and fun. One thing in games I'll never like is tedium for the sake of being tedious. I love Ark's slow, deliberate, weighty movement. I'm not saying make this COD with slide cancelling, but there has to be a point where you remember it's still a game that's meant to be fun and feel good to play. It's a hard balance, but they had a lot of that balance nailed perfectly in Tech Test 2. Sliding is still great on steep cliffs. Like I had one game where I broke someone down a hill, and I was able to catch up to them very fast by sliding down. Again, I love the slow, deliberate movement of Ark Raiders. The core locomotions are perfect and I love how they are. Like I said before, I don't want another Twitch shooter like COD. I like the slow, tactical and deliberate pacing. It's just things like ziplines being responsive and sliding on slopes gave us that extra bit of freedom without it looking like this. Okay, I quickly want to talk about the looting economy. This one's tough because it's hard to judge without seeing all the systems together. But I've got one example that kind of sums it up. So in Tech Test 2, the recipe for shield charges used to be batteries and I think rubber. I don't remember, that's not important. In the Service Lamb, they changed it to arc power cells and rubber. And that's a change I actually love. It ties combat and crafting together in a really smart way. The issue is that Ark only drops 1 power cell. And here's why that matters. It's kinda nuanced, so stay with me. In Tech Test 2, when I was low on shield charges, I'd go into raids specifically to farm batteries. That was one of my favorite things about this game. You could go on targeted runs. Need money? Do a money run. Need parts? Do a parts run. Need shields? Battery run. And on a good one, you'd walk away with 15, maybe 30 batteries and you were set for a while. And in this build, if you want that same thing, you've got to fight Ark for 1 single cell. You get hit once during that fight, the cell's basically gone just from that damage you took. And even if you kill 3 of them without taking a scratch, that's only 3 shield charges you can craft when you get back. But the reality is, you do take damage, and fighting Ark usually pulls other players in the area, so you end up burning way more shield charges than you'll ever earn. So you start thinking, alright, screw it, I'll just farm money and buy them. And sure, that works, but it's kinda boring. To me, it's less satisfying than going on those focused runs for specific resources you actually need. The fix is simple. Either make Ark drop more power cells or make 1 power cell craft multiple shield charges. I don't mind doing money runs. I just don't like when money becomes a way of bypassing all of the game systems. It feels more hollow. I'd rather have money be something you spend on the big stuff, like rare weapons or a black market trader selling some 30k fully kitted purple gun. And another thing, the price of soap for how much you get just isn't worth it. You spend like half a run spraying grime off the side of a van and the bottle's empty like after 2 minutes. Obviously opinions are going to be split on this, and that's fine. I'm not here to argue, just to talk through it. If other people having opinions is too much for you, you're fine to block me. I promise you I don't need your sub or view. With all of this, I'm not saying I'm right. I might be completely wrong and making stupid calls. I'm just having a conversation. Another thing I've seen a lot of people say, and I get why, is that most of the loot feels kinda useless. And yeah, it does right now. But that's not really a true reflection of the game. It just circles back to Embark for cutting so much out of the test. Like 90% of the stuff you pick up just sits in your stash because the crafting trees and upgrade paths were turned off. So it all just kind of feels like junk. But in the full game, that junk feeds into something. In Tech Test 2, everything kind of had a purpose. Maybe not right away, but eventually you'd hit a recipe or a quest that used it. And you go, oh, that's what I've been holding these for. In this test, that payoff never comes. And the funny thing is, I can already see how they've made stuff feel more important since Tech Test 2. even though to new players at first glance it all seems worse than ever. And that's the thing, when you strip out the systems that justify the grind, you also strip out the sense of discovery. It makes every item feel meaningless, even if it's not. So yeah, it's easy to look at your inventory full of ARC parts and go, why am I even picking this up? But that's only because the test didn't show what any of it connects to. They basically gave us the edge of the puzzle and none of the middle pieces. And then people walked away saying this picture doesn't make any sense. One last thing, which will obviously change, is locking the augments to use medium shields behind doing a free loadout run. Again, it just kind of feels tedious for the sake of being tedious. Okay, another massive point of discussion was around the enemies, and again, I have a lot of thoughts after playing Tech Test 2 in this service lamp. I'll start with the thing I personally think is the issue, which is the drones. Funny thing here is, again, like sliding, they had it pretty much perfect in Tech Test 2, but they've seemed to buff the hell out of them since. I don't know exactly what it is, if it's the bullets being weaker to break parts, the drones having more health themselves, them having more vision, or just simply them doing more damage and being more coordinated. This is also a bigger problem for solo players, but I'll touch on solo vs squad play in another section. But yeah, I'm gonna lay out why I think drones should be tuned down, at least to Tech Test 2 levels, and how they should fit into the PvE ecosystem. To me, drones' main thing should be that they give away your position. They should still take some bullets to take down, but it should be a lot quicker to deal with. Right now, the drones are a full annoying fight in themselves. You should be able to take them out with well-placed shots to their blades. And please, this isn't me saying I want weak PvE. It couldn't be more of the opposite. The big enemies should be exactly that. The Bastions, the Rocketeers, Leapers, Queens, they should be the reason you're going into a raid. You know you're going in to do a big PvE fight, you prepare for that. You know the risk of attracting players. I absolutely adore that, and to me it's what makes Ark have so much potential. No other extraction shooter really comes close to Ark's PvE. Hell, make the big enemy stronger. It's just simply that the drones are a bit too tanky. It's not that they're hard, it's just that it's tedious to take them out. And while it's fun while it's new, I think it'll slowly become more and more annoying. So one thing I kinda dislike is Rocketeers being at like 90% of the extraction points. This is one of those tricky discussions because everyone's gonna feel differently about it, but to me, it just feels a bit annoying. Like in Tarkov, 99% of extractions are quiet. Off the top of my head, I can only think of a few exceptions, like Reserve or Labs Elevator. Most of the time, it's just a spot on the map you stand at for 10 seconds. Majority of the time, there's going to be no conflict, unless there's extraction campers. And I don't know if it's just because I'm used to that, but I think I prefer it that way. I feel like the intense stuff should happen on the way to the extraction, not at it. I know the Raider hatches kind of solve this, though you can only buy one key per day, and I still don't know if that's a good thing or not. You can craft them too, so eventually they'll get easier to get, which maybe makes this just a whole non-issue. Honestly, writing this out, I'm still not sure what the right answer is. If you've got any ideas or thoughts on how you'd handle extractions, I'd actually love to hear them down in the comments. Another thing I saw a lot of was about the quests being boring. And yeah, maybe they're right, but that's not what this genre is built on. Quests are the seasoning, not the meal. They give you a direction where you need it, but the real story is the raid itself. The stash, the risk, the comeback, that's the loop. It's slower, but once you get it, it sticks. If you want scripted, linear storytelling, play a single player game. If you want chaos that writes itself, play this. I personally think Ark has the most potential to have fun quests with its PvE side of things for an extraction shooter. And they do have periodic cutscenes. I'm personally more than happy with where the quests are going.
Shawnee told me about what you found. Something's changed. We've seen a lot more probes beaming across the skies. More crashed couriers. We've heard tales of what happens if they find what they're looking for. They might be myths, but I don't want us finding out the hard way.
So, solo queuing versus squad queuing. Playing solo is a completely different game to squads, for a myriad of reasons. For starters, solos are just going to run into more players. In my third ever video, right after Tech Test 2, I actually explained exactly why, and this still hasn't changed, so let me play a clip from that. In solo mode, all 18 players are individual threats, constantly clashing across the map. Even though the map's big, 18 players just creates too much overlap and chaos. But in squads, those 18 players are split up into about 6 teams. That means fewer active firefights at once, more breathing room between encounters, and way more chance for good plays to actually pay off. The pacing in squads just feels better. You're not constantly running into someone. There's downtime to loot, reposition, and plan without worrying that a cracked solo player is waiting around every corner. And when you do run into another team, it's almost always a proper fight. Fair, intense, and where coordination actually matters. It's the kind of combat that makes this genre so fun. On top of that, you're obviously going to have a much harder time against PvE since it isn't scaled. You'll take longer to clear fights, and because of what I mentioned before, there's always going to be another player nearby to hear the noise. So if you're playing solo, unless you want PvP, you're better off staying stealthy, or becoming a bard who can talk their way out of a fight.
Please. Please.
Alright, chill. We be friends. Heal up. Just beg for your life. In solos, you'll notice a lot more people talking to each other and teaming up, but I kinda wonder how long that'll last. I see people say this a lot, and yeah, I've had a bunch of those experiences too. Please, sir, don't do it to me. Let's escape together. I was just running from people.
You know what? Fuck it. Why not? I got nothing on me. I got a defib on this fight.
Come on, man, don't do this. Let's all team up. 3 of us. We can take the lobby.
Yeah, let's team up. Alright.
Oh, thank God. You're good.
Need to save you.
Thank you.
Go, look at that.
GG's.
Yeah, good shit.
Thanks for sparing me.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
But when the novelty wears off, that's going to fade. And when it does, it feeds into itself, like a snake eating its own tail. The less people communicate, the more bitter and paranoid everyone gets. And it keeps spiraling until it's on site. That's just human nature, I guess. And look, if you're strictly solo, you're never going to be able to take out the queen or tackle any of the harder PvE stuff. Solos are great if you want to change your pace, if you're just trying to be more stealthy, or just maybe do a quiet money run. But the hard truth is, a lot of the systems seem balanced around squad play.
No, I don't have a stim. Hang on, does he have one? Got a stim. This is called instant good karma for you, eh?
You know what's been driving me insane lately? The whole X game is going to kill Y game thing. I was watching Jesse's video and he said it perfectly.
If you have been wondering if Arc Raiders is going to kill Escape from Tarkov or kill Arena Breakout Infinite, you are asking the wrong questions. It is good and healthy to have different games doing different things in a genre. Every time a new game comes out, you don't have to Indiana Jones swap out your old game with the new one. I don't know if anybody's told you this, but you can like 2 games. I personally think that Arc Raiders has a ton of potential to finally do something new in the genre, and potential to bring this genre to a whole new audience.
Ark's doing its own weird cinematic sci-fi thing, and that's what makes it special. We finally have something that isn't a clone, and people are already trying to shove it into someone else's shadow. We should want more studios taking risks like this, not punishing them for it. Because if every new game has to kill another one just to be accepted, no one's gonna bother making anything new. So yeah, I think Embark kind of shot themselves in the foot with this server slam. On the surface, a lot of the systems feel hollow and confusing, like pieces that don't quite fit yet. And if this was your first time jumping in, I get why that might have left you cold. But as someone who played Tech Test 2, I know what's underneath. I've seen how much is actually there, how much heart and potential this game has. And I've also seen how closely Embark listens. So even with all the rough edges, I've come out of this more excited than ever. Both Tech Test 2 and the Server Slam reminded me why I care about games in the first place. Because even when it stumbles, it's trying. Ark is ambitious, chaotic, and cinematic, and is building towards something special. I can't wait for the full launch. I just wanted to say a huge thanks. Last video I said I was pushing to hit 5k before launch, and somehow I've already hit 7k. Like, what the fuck? I don't even have the words to describe how grateful I am for that. The comments, the messages, the people actually watching these long weird essays, it's been unreal. And I won't lie, I'm exhausted. These videos take so long to make, and sometimes it's genuinely scary putting them out. I've been getting a lot more comments lately, which is amazing, but that comes with a lot more negativity too. And I'd be lying if I said I was used to it, or that it didn't affect me. So if you made it this far, and you appreciate the effort that goes into these, it'd mean the world if you subscribed. Maybe one day I can actually get paid for this. Until then, I'm gonna keep pushing, keep trying to make these worth your time. Seriously, thank you.